get y'all up out of here.
$25 CPU and a GTX 1080 Ti sounds as crazy as it actually is, especially if you already know the numbers. But for those who don't, I'm going to run them by you today, right here, right now. So without further delay, let's jump right into it.
I like that we get right into it. But again, intros were a thing. As you can see, it got shorter though.
Internet, Terrence here. We're back in.
Y'all peep that? The intro got shorter.
YouTube and the internet. Terrence here. We're back inside the lab. And if this is your first time to the channel and you're into building and fixing up gaming PCs on a budget, consider subscribing and clicking the notification bell to catch all new
34 subscribers. When we were using this YouTube branded intro or subscribe, clip, I purposely wanted to catch the channel at 34 subscribers. That way, or when I knew when I got to this point to like where we are now, even losing some 300% of the subscribers I had 5 years ago in just the month of December alone, but still being able to, stay above 4K really says a lot to every human or what have you that agreed to, hit that subscribe button with the notification bell. But 34 subscribers. If you are out there and you're interested in maybe starting YouTube as a, part-time, and you get discouraged by the low numbers, this channel everybody's channel starts at 0. Even the much larger tech creators, their channel started at 0 as well. Mine started at 0, and when I decided to say, hey, I should have a clip too to show the subscribe to the channel, I'd make sure I did that at 34. So I can always remind myself that no matter how many subscribers you think you currently have, remember there was a time where nobody wanted to subscribe to you at all. And I remember that to this day. And no matter how many times I get discouraged with losing subscribers or getting dislikes, don't happen as often, but sometimes when you say controversial things, people don't agree, but you stand by what you say, or you stand to fall for anything. So that's okay if people don't agree, and it's okay to get dislikes. To the algorithm, it looks like a like. It's no different. Okay, you can't even see the dislike button. You have to go through plugins, and that's a whole whatever. But still, due to dislikes, to the subscriber losses, to the hateful comments, which we didn't really get a lot of. Most of the comments around this time was people roasting how bad the audio was, kind of like TJ is right now. But everybody in the comment section at this time was essentially just commenting on how bad the audio was. And there goes to show that most viewers will forgive bad video quality, as the video quality in most of these, minus the one where I said was my favorite one, when we built the test bench, that was a little bit better focus, especially during the B-roll shots. And I really didn't do a lot of that in the first video, in the second video, especially in between me talking. But you know what I mean? It just the video quality was potato. The audio quality was potato, but viewers were more willing to forgive the latter, or more willing to forgive the former, but they just could not get over the latter. And that's because video or audio is half the experience, whether that's music or talking or both, or a combination of the both. Audio is half the video experience.
Uploads the moment they drop. Doing this helps me grow here on YouTube and as a content creator.
It still does.
I appreciate you all to the moon and back.
I still do.
The CPU in question
wow,
today
that little transition
is
is
the
wild.
Intel Xeon X5675 Westmere-EP CPU. Now,
6-core 12-thread Xeon.
12 threads, so
$24, yo.
It runs at a 3.1 gigahertz base clock.
Little chip was a beast. Again, my daughter used this setup here, this exact setup on her primary gaming system. This is how she was introduced to gaming. It was on an X5675 for sure. I couldn't quite remember the exact SKU, but there you go, $24.99, and this was in June of 2019. I bet you could probably get it for maybe 15, 19, 16 bucks. You know what I mean? Now, but even look at those chapters. So
is the Intel X58 DSO motherboard.
See, I started doing this here.
It has support for triple channel memory, has 6 USB 2.0 slots, and comes with a nice black.
And that wasn't me hitting no buttons, y'all. That's actually the call to actions in the video. Shout out to Lab, yo. With the on-screen call to actions in my, what is this? We yada yada over 2 videos. 7th video? Because, you know, after the 5th one, I was like, yo, we've got to come with some heat, man. I gotta switch it up somehow. And you see a lot of that in this video now. As I started talking and explaining, you know, or I guess gestating, what is that with your hands, Miss Ma? I started moving my hands in front of the components while I was talking. There we go. And I started doing that more because, again, I said, you know, we got to switch it up, man. I got to do something different if I want to try to take the content next level. You know what I mean? In terms of visual storytelling. And that's what you kind of see here. You know what I mean? And I still use this form. I like this form. I think it helps the viewer follow along with the components that you're identifying, you're highlighting, and its usage. If you can, you inject personality here. I mean, I like shooting in this style, and I still will shoot in this style. You'll see me, you know, continue to shoot in this style or modified versions of it because now I cut back and forth way more because I'm able to talk, you know, more about these components because, you know, prior to this, I didn't have much on-screen camera presence or I'm sorry, I didn't have much on-screen camera experience. Okay. So this was the, what, 7th, 6th time maybe I was ever in front of a video talking.
Overclock on top of that of plus 60 on the core and plus 800 on the memory.
Ooh,
with the slider slid far left and the manual fan speed of
far
55%.
Right. Still making
that's
those
powered by a 750
mistakes.
watt EVGA 80 plus gold rated power supply and a 1 terabyte.
Okay, get to the benchmarks, nerd. Let's take a blast back to memory lane. Oh, okay. Wow, look how old those were. Y'all remember when Fortnite settings looked like this? That's a clean way to display a lot of information there that even 5 years later is still helpful to us right now. Let me remove myself from the bottom of the screen so y'all could watch and follow along here. But this is Fortnite version 10.20. We have average, minimum, 1% lows, X570 running with 157 times 23 multiplier, which equals 4.1 gigahertz. This CPU was cooking. This CPU was cooking. But 136 FPS at 1080p? Okay. $24 CPU and 1080 Ti. I completely, or maybe I did. I might have talked about the bottleneck, but there wasn't one, as you can see, in the upper left-hand corner. There wasn't a bottleneck. We're getting good utilization on the CPU. It's high, but we're also getting pretty good utilization on the GPU. If I can see it, if it can come back. Yeah, we're getting pretty good utilization on the GPU. Little Apex Legends in the house. Should I start? I can't play Apex, y'all. I'm not even gonna lie. I've started to say, should we incorporate in some benchmarks? But any PC I test can likely run Apex because it's not a very demanding game. But I like this song too. Soundtrack cooked a little early on. This was the first time, though. This was like my first ever true benchmarking endeavor, right? Like, this is the first time I went through a slew of benchmarks and testing like a CPU and GPU combination, like a complete setup, a complete system. This was the first time ever. And I had a blast doing it. I had a blast playing this game too. Like, I remember when I was benchmarking this game, as you can see, it kind of went on because I couldn't actually just stop playing it. What else did we test? More Warhammer. Or Warframe, I'm sorry. I stand corrected. More Warframe. Any Warframe? I mean, 224 average FPS. This is the $24 CPU. $1,000 GPU, though. So the combination wasn't very practical at the time. And it still isn't now. That's like an i5 4th generation CPU paired with like a 3080 maybe at 1080p. And the graphics card still held up really well, though. Not in, what was that? Hold on, go back. What was that? Dota? Oh, the CPU bottleneck was real in Dota. Check out that utilization. Okay, that's what you don't want. Even with a game like Dota, CPU bound. I mean, we could be leaving some frames on the floor here, but GPU utilization is high, CPU utilization is higher. It's not the balance you want. Sorry, I mean, you can kind of make out and can kind of see it there, and I'll freeze it. Not mute it, freeze it. So like on the strongest core, which is 3, it's 81% utilization, 35% GPU utilization. That, my friends, is a bottleneck. Project Cars, another good benchmark there. 117 average FPS. Again, $24 CPU.
Can you game on a cheap Xeon? Yes. Would it deliver great price to performance? Yes. Could I recommend it? Well, that depends. That depends.
So bad.
Depends on a lot of factors, and one of them is cost. Like, you can pick up an X5675 for the low,
right?
But the problem is you're likely going to pay a premium for the motherboards, the LGA 1366
right. that still
socket,
stays true,
because they're getting harder and harder to come by. Now, I did find some on the eBay for.
Not so much with Ryzen though. If you pay attention, you can get a pretty decent B350, B450, AM4 motherboard and pick up a higher end CPU. And so long as it has the BIOS to support that CPU, you're looking at a combination or a complete package, especially with like a 16 gigabyte kit of RAM. At the time, I had priced this out at what, 327 USD? I mean, even if you stayed at that price figure here in 2019, then you're looking at least a Ryzen, a 3800X. I mean, these components here, about the same thing. So okay, yeah, we're looking at the Ryzen equivalent to that system. At the time, 327 USD. You're not going to pay that much for a 2600 and an X470 motherboard, especially used, right? But if you did come across a weird combination, but not a bad one nonetheless, a Ryzen 5 and a 2600 paired with an X470 motherboard, maybe $100, 110, 16 gigabyte kit of RAM definitely is significantly cheaper. Wow, $75. I remember this though. This is when RAM was in a really bad place though. RAM was super expensive. So you could pick up, I mean, this right here, a 32 gigabyte kit of DDR4 would barely cost you half of this now. So you're getting much better value for your money, but these prices were through the roof.
100G for around $300 to $400. But if you want to save some money, because that's okay too, and you got a soft spot for the classics like myself and many others, the X58 and a budget Intel Xeon CPU like the X5670.
I don't like how I didn't talk about the graphics card so far.
Your alley. Couple that with a mid to high range graphics card, and you got yourself a system that delivers great 1080p performance,
mid, so you
which ultimately sets you up for 1440p should you be willing and able to make the jump. To learn more about budget PCs and other gaming related stuff, consider tapping around.
Also was learning that I had to be more genuine, but that video amassed 127 likes organically, and that's pretty dope, y'all. You know, that the Xeon story, that's one of my favorites there.